The historic 2020 elections, record numbers of people voting early by absentee ballot or going to the polls early.
As soon as they said you could vote by mail, I thought, no, I've been all these years going to the polls, I'm going to stick to it.
I don't trust any other voting issues as far as the online voting or ballot mail. So I decided to come out and vote.
A contentious political season coming to a close, a divided country going to the polls.
The identity politics, the fact that if you believe in voting in someone, that you're evil, is really sad. We used to be able to talk, and we can't do that anymore.
Let's talk about the twists, turns, and turmoil of the elections, counting down the final days of Commitment 2020.
From WLWT, this is Let's Talk Cincy, presented by Western and Southern Financial Group. Put our financial strength behind you.
No matter which side of the political aisle you're on, this has been an election season like none other. Hello, everyone. I'm Curtis Fuller, and welcome to Let's Talk Cincy. You know, our first president, George Washington, was sworn in to office on April 30th, 1789. He was unanimously elected president. Let's fast forward now, 231 years later. And with a pandemic as a backdrop, the political climate can be described as stormy at best. Whether you are voting early or going to the polls on November 3rd, your vote will determine if the country stays the course with President Trump or goes in a different direction with Joe Biden. Both candidates have focused a considerable amount of time and energy on Ohio, which of course is considered an important battleground state in this race for the White House. Unprecedented. That is the only way to describe what we are witnessing this presidential election. More than 70 million people have already voted nationwide. That is more than half of all the people who voted back in 2016. The huge numbers in our area actually mirror what we are seeing all across the country. Today, I want to focus on the final hours now and what you need to know to make sure your vote is counted and your voice is heard at the ballot box. Let's talk about these final days and check in now with the director of the Hamilton County Board of Elections, Sherry Poland.
We've received so much positive feedback from the voters, and that just, it makes it all worth it. All the long hours that the team here at the Board of Elections put into preparing for this, and that's what it's all about, is having the voters have a good voting experience, because we believe that leads to them having confidence in the integrity and the outcome of the election. So what we did here, we knew we had to prepare. We had to change things due to the pandemic. We needed more space, and so we were fortunate that space became available on the same campus of the Board of Elections, just in the building right next door. We were able to double the space of our former early vote center, which means we still were able to have enough check-in stations and enough voting booths to accommodate the large number of voters that are coming in and still maintain the 6-foot social distancing to keep everyone safe. Voters who have requested a vote by mail ballot, we're asking them, if you haven't returned it yet, please return it as soon as possible. You can do that by driving to the Board of Elections and using our 24-hour secure drop box, or by coming to the Board of Elections and having our ballot collectors collect the ballot from you during peak voting times. We're open for in-person early voting, Sunday 1 to 5, Monday to 2. 2 p.m. on Monday, early voting ends. After that, everyone that still wants to participate in the election must go to their local polling place on Election Day. Ballots must be delivered to the Board of Elections by 7:30 p.m. on election night. So all absentee ballots that arrive here at the board by that date and time will be included in the election night count. Ballots that are not received by that time, as long as they're received by November 13th, 10 days after Election Day, and they have a postmark that's on or before November 2nd, then the Board of Elections can add those ballots to the official count that occurs 2 weeks after Election Day.
And that's why you say If you got it, just bring it here.
Yes, if you have it, bring it here to the Board of Elections. If you can't travel the distance to the Board of Elections, go inside your local post office branch and make sure that that ballot envelope is postmarked on or before November 2nd. We only had to change a handful of polling places, which is good. We sent a notice to every registered voter in Hamilton County about 3 weeks ago, letting them know their assigned polling place on Election Day. If they lost the card or misplaced it, they can always give us a call or check our website and click on Find My Polling Place. So yeah, the polls will be open, just as in every other election. We will be maintaining the 6-foot social distancing in the polling places. We've hired extra poll workers so we can make sure that the voting booths are cleaned in between each use. We have an extra supply of masks. Our poll workers will be wearing masks. Everything that we've been doing for the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks here at the Board of Elections, those same safety practices will be in place at the neighborhood polling places.
Now, election rules vary from state to state. It's also important to remember results from an election are only official once they are certified. And the majority of states also allow for provisional voting.
Provisional voting is a safety net for voters. It's a second chance for a voter to cast a ballot when before the days of provisional voting, a voter would have just been simply turned away and not offered a ballot at all. So this is really a good thing. It's a safety net. The most common reason why a voter will be required to cast their ballot provisionally is that the voter moved and did not update their address before the deadline. So it doesn't mean that the voter can't participate in the election. It simply means that the voter needs to show up to their new polling place. They'll receive the same type of ballot as every other voter at the polling place. The difference is, rather than the voter scanning the ballot, they will have to put it inside an envelope. And that envelope has identifying information for the voter to complete: their name, their address, a form of ID, date of birth, and their signature. That then comes back to the Board of Elections, and it allows the board staff after election day to verify that yes, this was a registered voter in Ohio, and yes, that voter did not already cast a ballot in the former precinct they were registered to vote in. It helps ensure one person, one vote.
Again, Hamilton County is seeing record numbers this year, like many counties in greater Cincinnati. And by the way, Hamilton County has more than 600,000 registered voters. Well, up next, the drive to get voters to the polls, the free way to get to the ballot box when Let's Talk Cincy returns. Thanks to Cincinnati city leaders, many people will have a free ride on a Metro bus on Election Day, even if they are not going to the polls. You see, it speaks to a larger conversation of making polling locations accessible, connecting people by bus without the worry of how they'll pay. WLWT News 5's Colin Mayfield explains why this collaborative step will impact a massive amount of Cincinnatians on Election Day.
As we count down to Election Day, we've seen lines and record turnout already, but there's a segment of the population that doesn't have access and connectivity to the community through transportation, preventing them from exercising one of the greatest civil rights, voting.
Access to the polls is one of the most fundamental rights that we have.
To remedy that issue, Cincinnati City Council's Budget and Finance Committee earmarked $12,500 to allow Metro to operate for free on November 3rd, with help from community partners, upping that to $24,000 for the entire day. It's not about the money, though, more about the thousands this initiative will help.
And we want to do our part to ensure access and connectivity to the polls so as to maximize democratic participation, regardless of one's political affiliation.
We know that in Cincinnati, the city of Cincinnati, over 20% of our households are car free, do not have cars, and rely on public transit to get to work, to get to school, the doctor's office, the grocery store, and also to the polls.
For example, one West Side polling location that's along the Route 6 bus line has more than 3,100 registered voters there.
And it's very easy to see that we cannot have an equitable and just community on both sides of the river until every single person has equitable access and transportation to getting to polls.
Although the city worked with groups like the Davoo Good Foundation, SORTA, and the Urban League, and among others to solidify funding for November 3rd, the Better Bus Coalition and their leader Cam Hardy gave the insight needed to get the idea off the ground.
This idea came from bus riders. We think that it's very important to provide access to the ballot box for people who ride the bus and for people who look like me.
Cam says he's a full-time rider like many of the people he knows, taking the bus to the doctor, the store, and now he says he won't have to worry about Election Day.
This idea came from bus riders. We think that it's very important to provide access to the ballot box for people who ride the bus and for people who look like me. I am a full-time bus rider.
He added that just that morning, a mother of 3 made a plan to vote, and because of the fare-free ride, she can bring her children along. It's the choices that Hardy, this collaborative, and thousands across Cincinnati have needed access and connectivity.
Now that we have transportation under control, it's up to you all to make a plan. We encourage you all to get out there to vote, whether you early vote or vote on Election Day. You now have many options to do that.
Now, if you don't want to wait until Election Day with just a couple of days to go, you can vote now and get transportation through Metro. Just text RIDE 2020 to 797979. Happy voting. I'm Colin Mayfield reporting for Let's Talk Cincy.
And you know, the folks at Metro said that you don't need proof of voting to ride free on Tuesday. Also, bus service will run as normal on November 3rd. Up next, it is the fabric that holds our democracy together. Why voting is so significant when Let's Talk Cincy returns. Cincinnati played a key role in the voting rights and civil rights struggle, home to national civil rights leaders like Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, Reverend Otis Moss, and Reverend L.V. Booth, just to name a few. I talked to Reverend Booth's son, who is a champion of civil rights, now leading the city's Human Relations Commission. That's Paul Booth Sr.
Well, I think he would speak out against the disenfranchisement of voters, all of the shenanigans that are going on, because of course he grew up in Mississippi, grew up at a time when he couldn't vote, and probably his father and others could not vote as well. And so voting would be something that he would take very, very seriously. And he always, within our family, indicated to us that voting was important. And not only was it a right, at least by the time I came along, but it was our responsibility. So he'd be speaking out against voter disenfranchisement and pushing folks to get out and vote. Well, I can recall meeting Dr. King in 1964 when he came to Cincinnati to preach at Zion Baptist Church for the 122nd church anniversary. I knew who Dr. King was. I'd heard about him through my father, but yet I didn't understand the magnitude of the man. He did come to our home late that evening. I think Andrew Young was with him. And even though I was a kid, I sensed and I knew that there was something that was significant and something important that was being discussed. King would always come to Cincinnati, and many times he came at the invitation of my father, Fred Shuttlesworth, and perhaps others, but he was always here on a mission, and I knew that. One of the missions in the mid-50s or so was to re-elect Ted Berry to mayor. And that event was held at the Emory Auditorium near the University of Cincinnati. So I knew that whenever he was here that he was always on a mission, and there was something that was very important that was going on. When he spoke that day when he was here in Cincinnati in 1964, he spoke to two groups. He spoke to children and young people, and then he spoke to the larger congregation. And I believe that the title of subject of his message was Paul's letter to the Roman Christians. And he just went through the civil rights movement, the importance of civil rights and the importance of Christians getting involved in the movement. Yeah, it's inconceivable that today, in 2020, we don't understand the importance or the significance of the vote. And all we have to do is go back to history as to what we went through in order to gain the right to vote. I think it was 1963 where there were men, women, and children that were demonstrating for equality. Bull Connor, the sheriff at that time in Birmingham, sicked dogs, sprayed down the demonstrators, the protesters, with water hoses, and the nation was totally embarrassed at what had been done and embarrassed at the inhumanity of how people were treated. And that eventually led to the passing of the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act as well.
A few lessons of our past. Now, in a new Rawson report, does COVID-19 have you worried about voting in person this election day? Our chief national consumer correspondent, Jeff Rawson, is touring the polls to show you just what you can expect.
Hi, yeah, you know this year is unlike any other. You want to head to the polls and vote in person, but are the polls safe? You might have to stand in line inside for up to an hour, maybe even more, just to fill out your ballot. So what do the polls look like inside anyway? I am taking you through the voting process step by step to show you exactly what you can expect and some tricks along the way to help you stay safe. You've seen the lines. Early voting has started. And from North Carolina to New Mexico to Louisiana, many polling sites have rolled out new safety measures. So what is it like to go through the voting process at the polls, soup to nuts, from beginning to end? They've already had hundreds of people here for early voting, and you just can think what it's going to be like on Election Day. This is a senior center. People have been socially distanced all day. Come on in. I'm going to walk you through the process, and we wanted to wait until they were finished with their early voting for the day, so we didn't interrupt anyone. You're immediately greeted by this, a table full of hand sanitizer. Don't mind if I do, actually. And there are masks if you forgot one at home, and even gloves if you want to be extra safe. You immediately, once your time is up in line, you come here to one of the poll volunteers, and they have plexiglass up this year. I'm sure you're happy about that. To protect you, and this protects you as well. So what would normally happen? You would ask me for my...
I would ask you for your first and last name.
First and last name?
Right.
They also need me to verify my address, and in many states, you may need to show ID. Once you're verified, the computer will print out a custom barcode sticker. In that barcode is basically my personal information, all my personal reference number that makes me special.
Everything.
Some states will use the barcode, others will scan your license, but either way, your personal information is assigned to your ballot.
Once you've filled this out, you're going to slip it into this envelope and sign your name at the top line.
You guys are awesome because these are all sanitized, right?
Absolutely.
They're sanitizing every pen. So I'm going to come choose this one over here. Hey guys, how are you? Thank you for helping. And if you look, all the voting machines are pretty spaced out, right? They're all 6 feet apart. So I have my pen, my ballot, and this is what you do. By the way, here's a tip. You can bring your own pen from home as long as it's black ink. It does the job. And if your location uses touchscreen voting machines, bring your own stylus or rubber gloves. It's allowed. Whatever makes you feel safe. You'd put it in like this and walk over here. Let me grab the pen. And you want us to return the used pens, right? And interesting this year, you don't want us licking.
No, I do not.
You don't want this. So they have glue. They have glue here to close this up. Has this glue been sanitized?
Yes, it has. And I verify that your signature is there.
You voted my signature is there, and I drop it in.
Put it in the booth.
And that's it.
That's all.
And of course, who wants to stand in the long lines near other people for long periods of time? Instead, vote during off-peak time, from 8 to 11:30 a.m. and from 1:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. If your state does allow early voting, take advantage so you're not with the crowds on Election Day. Do you think voting is safe this year?
Absolutely.
It's basically kind of contactless.
It is. I mean, there's nothing that you're touching it or that we're touching at all, and you're doing it all yourself, and we make everything available for you to make it safe.
If you do plan on voting early, I'm hearing from a lot of you saying, well, hold on a minute, are they going to count my early vote, my early ballot into election night results? When do early votes get processed and counted? It really goes state by state, and we have a full state-by-state breakdown when your state will be counting early ballots, when you'll see it reflected in the total tally. It's on my website right now, RawsonReports.com. Back to you.
And the latest election news just a mouse click away when Let's Talk Cincy continues. With Election Day just a few days away, you probably have plenty of last-minute questions. Well, we have the place for you to find those answers, our Commitment 2020 section on WLWT.com. WLWT News 5's Kelly Rippin walks you through the site where election information just a click away.
WLWT is your trusted source for all things Commitment 2020. Once you log on to our homepage, you'll see the menu tab. You'll click that and a side navigation bar will drop down. You'll hit Commitment 2020 and have access to the full page. From national races to local contests, the Commitment 2020 page has all the information to guide you through the election. We'll have the latest details on the presidential race, with tracking the campaigns of President Trump and challenger Joe Biden. But we also focus on the political contests that are closer to home. WLWT hosted a number of debates from Ohio's 1st Congressional District to the Hamilton County prosecutor race. If you missed any of them, you can watch in full on our Commitment page. You'll learn where the candidates stand on key issues important to you. Another link on the page takes you to a voter guide for Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. There's information to help guide you through the final days of the elections. The pandemic has changed the places where you can vote. Very important here. We have links for all 3 states to help you locate your polling place. You can also look at sample ballots before you head to the polls or track your vote if you voted by absentee. WLWT.com has all of that information that you can access 24/7 leading up to November 3rd on Election Day and, of course, after. For Let's Talk Cincy, I'm Kelly Rippin.
Well, I hope this information was helpful for you today. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Let's Talk Cincy. We want to hear from you. Email us your ideas at ltc@WLWT.com. Remember, you can also always watch full episodes or get more information on WLWT.com. And you can also listen to Let's Talk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next week for another edition of Let's Talk Cincy. Have a great day.